Setting up a distribution network for independent retail can be really challenging. It can be challenging en masse, but knowing what you need to know before you get into it is going to be the key to your success. So when you're getting started in retail and you put your product out locally, regionally, you're doing it yourself, you're visiting the stores, you're getting to know the managers, you're understanding what's making the product move off the shelf. All that information needs to be compiled and then presented to a distributor. Hopefully a distributor that services the stores that you're already in. If they can take over that, they're more likely to bring on the product. So if you can hand over that distribution to them, that'll make it a lot easier. Getting started locally on that front can be an easy way to kind of step into distribution. Make sure that you have the margins on the back end for those distributors though, because typically they're looking for around 20 to 25% on average for their margin as a discount on wholesale pricing. So if you're selling the product into the stores at $5, it's selling for $10, you're going to want to make sure that the distributor is going to be able to buy it for $3.75, $4 around there. Make sure you have that spaced out before you kind of go into retail stores. But knowing it on the back end is also important, because when you start scaling and start expanding out of your area where you can deliver locally, you're going to need to account for logistics. And logistics are going to be another 5 to 10% as prices go up now. So knowing that on the front end, you should always have that scaled on the back end for your pricing. But when growing into distribution, it's always important to track that independent retail success on the front end, so you know how many units are moving per day, where it's being merchandised in the stores, what kind of demographics those stores are going after, what the landscape of the zip code is as far as the average income, who has cars, if it's a walking city or if it's a driving rural area. Knowing that on the front end will help on the back end when you're pitching to the distributors, because distributors have a much larger area that they cover. And knowing which area is going to be most applicable to your product when they're launching into those stores is going to be very helpful for them. And it's going to help you during your pitch to them. So know your numbers on the front end, know who's going to buy the product on the back end, and know the logistics of how you're going to get there. Because a big thing for distributors when they pick up the product is they're going to want to make sure that there's stock on the back end, that when they place that reorder, that you'll be able to deliver. Because it sounds easy, but when you start having larger inventory flows go through, it becomes more and more expensive out of your pocket on the back end to keep purchasing inventory, especially if you decide to go with terms. Terms are where you get paid on the back end, 15, 30 days, up to 90 days with larger retailers. So knowing that you're going to have that cash flow first. Keep that cash flow going, because on the back end, when you're growing, you're going to have a higher need for inventory management than you are that may be getting paid on the front end, because you're going to be stepped out on terms a month or two. So understanding the inventory flow, understanding the distribution and the logistics behind that is going to be the second step. Next is going to be how they're going to be able to promote the product into the stores, because the distributors, typically if they're having a regional distributor pick up the product, they're going to have sales teams that go out with a catalog, and they go into the stores and they say, and they go, just give me what you gave me last time. They're not going to be there to sell new products unless, one, they're incentivized, already ready to go. And two, even if they are incentivized, for them to be able to push your product is going to be rare. So you might have to have an independent sales team hit the road and get in front of them and open accounts for the distributor to fulfill. Depends on what level distributor you're going with. The larger distributors, that's typically how it works, where they have somebody that goes in and they go, we have all these new products, and the store owner goes, it's fine, give me what you gave me last time. So unless there's a big drive or a big push for that, it's not going to go very far. So having that on the front end is important. Lastly, there's certain groups like Ace Hardware does it, UNFI does it, KeHE, the larger distributors and the larger kind of franchise-owned retailers typically, where they have trade shows. And you can go and you can speak to either the store owners at the trade shows for like Ace, or the store owners that use KeHE UNFI on the back end. And you can pitch to them at those trade shows. They can be exposed to new products. It's hit or miss whether that's a good investment or not. Most of the time with the larger distributors, it's highly required. But again, that's really about how much you want to promote and what path to market you take. Much easier and much smoother when you grow independently and you grow strong with multiple fingers and multiple channels, and you're able to try different things instead of focusing on one avenue with one distributor and one retailer. When you grow vertically like that, it's a lot more likely that there's a domino effect or a house of cards that comes falling down, where if you miss a delivery, it triggers a late payment. The late payment takes more than your profit, and then you can't produce inventory on the back end. We've seen that a lot with smaller businesses that focus on one track instead of going in multiple different areas, multiple different distributors, multiple different retailers. So spread it out. Don't put your eggs in one basket, and you can be successful by growing smooth and growing strong.